If only our ancient ancestors had left us a clear instruction manual buried beside their artifacts. If they had, we wouldn't be so puzzled by the finds we've made about them, their rituals, and the eras they lived through. The truth is, even the most genius experts still aren't always sure what they're looking at, and without answers, they're left admitting they found a mystery. In this video, you'll see many of those shocking finds that prove our knowledge of history was wrong. Number 15. Gejar Dalam Cave. Gejar Dalam, which in English means the Cave of Darkness, is one of Malta's most important archaeological sites and one of its strangest. This is where we find the island's first proof of human presence, dating back some 7,000 years. But humans weren't the only ones hiding out here. Deep inside this 500-foot cave are the bones of dwarf elephants, pygmy hippos, miniature deer, and even tiny wolves. These species likely shrank over generations due to island isolation, scarce resources, and the absence of predators. But the biggest surprise? Mixed in with pottery shards are teeth from both early humans and Neanderthals. That hints, just hints, at the two coexisting in this cave at one point. If confirmed, that would rewrite parts of human history. Did they share firelight, food, or fights? We don't know, but the silence of the cave speaks volumes. Number 14. Robin Hood Sits Ball. Stonehenge might be the star of Salisbury Plain, but just a couple of miles north sits another mystery, and it's called Robin Hood's Ball. The name has zero connection to the folklore outlaw and no documented origin. It just showed up on an 1820 map with no explanation. What we're really looking at is a Neolithic causewayed enclosure, concentric ditches with raised paths pointing inward. Back in the day, anyone standing in the center would have had a clear panoramic view across the plain. Stonehenge would have been within sight, although most evidence points to Robin Hood's Ball being built even earlier. Archaeologists believe it was constructed around 6,000 years ago and was used actively for 1,000 years. But what was it for? Well, now that's no one knows. Theories range from religious gatherings to defensive lookout points, but there's no proof for any of them. The earthworks still quietly circle the site, holding on to their secrets. Even in the shadow of Stonehenge, Robin Hood's Ball keeps its own story sealed tight. Number 13. Mummification in Pompeii. When Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD, many Pompeii residents were essentially preserved in ash. But long before the volcano struck, someone had already undergone mummification. In 2021, archaeologists uncovered the tomb of Marcus Venerius Secundio in the Porta Sarno necropolis near Pompeii's eastern gate. Inscriptions identified him as a freed slave who rose to become a priest of Venus and a member of the cult of the divine Augustus. That alone makes him notable, but what truly stood out was his state of preservation. Unlike most Romans who were cremated, Marcus had been carefully mummified. While mummification wasn't unknown in the Roman Empire, it was very rare in the 1st century and typically reserved for high-ranking elites. How a former slave achieved this honor remains a mystery, and one scholars may never fully resolve. His tomb is now one of the few direct pieces of evidence showing that embalming practices weren't entirely confined to Egypt, and that some Romans still chose to preserve the body in death. Number 12. Teotihuacan replica at Tikal. Teotihuacan might be the most recognized site tied to the ancient Maya, but a surprising discovery suggests it wasn't as singular as once thought. Archaeologists recently identified a scaled-down replica of Teotihuacan's famed citadel beneath the surface at Tikal. You can't see it from the ground. But advanced LiDAR technology revealed a pyramid-shaped structure beneath the Mundo Perdido complex. This changes what we thought we knew, especially since Tikal and Teotihuacan are separated by 600 miles. Researchers haven't excavated the site yet, but once granted permission, they hope to learn more. One theory suggests there was a previously unknown cultural link between the two cities, an unexpected connection until Tikal was later invaded and seized by forces from Teotihuacan. Another idea proposes that the structure was built by migrants from Teotihuacan who relocated to Tikal and wanted a piece of their homeland embedded in the new one. Either way, it's a rare and revealing clue that Maya cities may have had more direct influence from central Mexico than previously assumed. Number 11. Ming Dynasty World Map. During the Ming Dynasty, Emperor Wanli owned a 6-panel world map, unlike anything that existed in Europe at the time. The map listed over 850 locations, complete with latitude and longitude, and detailed notes on distant kingdoms, islands, and continents. It was crafted by Italian Jesuit missionary Matteo Ricci in collaboration with Chinese scholars. For the emperor, it revealed a world far larger than previously imagined, but somewhere along the way, the map was altered. A section originally labeled between the 15th and 42nd parallels was covered over with ocean patterns. Whether this was done recently or centuries ago remains unclear, but its implications are significant. The original version placed the southernmost Chinese territory at the Paracel Islands, hundreds of miles north of the disputed Spratly Islands. That alone challenges China's current claims in the South China Sea. The tampering wasn't accidental. It appears designed to support a modern geopolitical narrative, recasting historical maps to suit current claims of sovereignty. The map's legacy now holds more than geography, it holds controversy. Number 10. Victorian Time Capsule. Most people think of time capsules as a late 20th century invention, but the idea stretches much further back. In May 2021, renovation work at a Catholic primary school in Barrow, England, revealed a glass time capsule from 1876. It had been sealed inside the foundation stone of the school's chapel, almost certainly placed there during its original construction. Inside the jar were coins from that era and a rolled-up newspaper dated to the exact day the stone was laid. The find adds a new chapter to the school's history. It's believed to be the only United Reformed Church school still operating anywhere in the world. After carefully opening the capsule, school staff shared the contents with students, who decided to preserve the tradition. They created and buried a new time capsule of their own, continuing the historical cycle for future generations. If the original waited 145 years to be discovered, maybe this new one will resurface under similar circumstances, giving someone else a snapshot of today's world. It's not shocking, but it's great. Number 9. Chickasaws repurposed artifacts. Spain conquered vast swaths of the Americas by force, but not without resistance. In June 2021, archaeologists working in northeastern Mississippi unearthed a remarkable collection of early European artifacts at a site known as Stark Farms. The items, over 80 in total, are believed to have been abandoned in 1541 after the Hernando de Soto expedition clashed with the Chickasaw people. Judging by their condition, the Chickasaws seized the artifacts after the conflict and repurposed them into tools, ornaments, and household goods. Brass pendants found at the site were once nails, blades, and axe heads. Discoveries of this kind are extremely rare. Stark Farms is only the second confirmed site in the U.S. to yield direct material evidence of contact between native peoples and the De Soto expedition. Relations between the Spanish and the Chickasaws appear to have collapsed after initial diplomacy. At one point, the Chickasaw leader Chaska Minko had even offered the Spaniards a village for shelter, but that truce didn't last, and neither did Spain's control of the region. Alright guys, now let's move to number 8. Gethsemane Ritual Bath. Anyone familiar with the New Testament will recognize Gethsemane as the place where Jesus was betrayed by Judas Iscariot. Given its religious significance, archaeological teams are almost always at work there. In 2021, they made a rare find, a ritual purification bath dating back 2,000 years. So far, it's the only confirmed artifact from Gethsemane that can be precisely dated to the time of Christ. Its presence also suggests that more remnants of ancient life are likely buried nearby. Scholars believe ritual baths like this were used communally by laborers, especially those working in oil or wine production. Cleansing wasn't just a matter of hygiene, it was a religious obligation. According to the law at the time, workers in such trades had to purify themselves with water before returning home. The bath's existence strongly implies that an industrial site once operated in the area, which archaeologists are now actively searching for. Meanwhile, the bath is set to become the focus of a new visitors center built at Gethsemane. Number 7. Naked horseman carving in Vindolanda. Vindolanda is a Roman fort in Northumberland, England, and this grand fort has yielded countless archaeological discoveries in recent years, and in June 2021, another rare artifact was added to the list. Carved into sandstone, the image of a naked horseman holding a spear stood out immediately. Unlike typical Roman carvings, this one came with no inscription, leaving its identity open to interpretation. The rider, seated on either a horse or a donkey, dates to the 4th century. Based on context, archaeologists believe the carving may have been used as a small altar. Romans frequently depicted deities in the nude, so this might represent a god rather than a real person. The spear in the figure's left hand hints at Mars, the god of war, but that's speculative. If the animal beneath him is a donkey, some suggest it could represent Mercury, protector of travelers. Nothing like it has ever been found at Vindolanda before, and it's a total mystery. Number 6. Irish sweat houses. In Ireland, not every dome-shaped mound hides the dead. Some of them were built for the living and breathing. These stone chambers were once common across Ireland, especially in County Leitrim. People stripped down, sealed themselves inside, and endured intense heat, either for healing, spiritual clarity, or to purge sickness. The heat came from burning turf or wood inside, then shutting the entrance to trap the smoke and warmth. After hours, the smoke was cleared, and people would crawl inside, staying as long as they could bear. The oldest examples date back to the 1600s, though some are believed to be even older. The Leitrim Sweat House Project, launched in 2021, has begun cataloging and researching these forgotten structures. None were elaborate. All were built into hillsides, close to water sources. While the effects were likely more placebo than cure, generations kept the tradition alive. For 3 centuries, these strange stone domes offered something most medicine couldn't: ritual, hope, and heat. Number 5. Band of Holes. The Band of Holes in Peru's Pisco Valley was first photographed from the air in 1933. Ever since, it's been an unsolved riddle, nearly a mile of shallow hand-dug over 500 holes forming long, orderly rows. Early theories were all over the place. In the 1950s, Victor Wolfgang von Hagen thought it was a mass grave until he couldn't explain where the bodies went. Now, thanks to the work by researchers Henry Tantalayan and Charles Stanish, we've got a better idea. Their findings suggest this was a primitive accounting system used by the Inca to track food and goods. Based on old European journals, they say the Incas stored commodities in these holes as physical units without coins, just supplies. One hole, one unit. Goods were traded, taxed, or distributed from there. The layout is too precise to be random. While it might not be a graveyard or ceremonial site, it's still a bold relic of a society that ran on structure, not silver. Number 4. Tabula Peutingeriana. The Roman road system stretched across Europe and North Africa, likely making it the most expansive network ever built by a single empire. Proof of that lies in the Tabula Peutingeriana, aka Peutinger's Table. While the parchment itself dates to the 13th century, many believe it's a faithful copy of a much older Roman map, possibly commissioned during the reign of Emperor Augustus by Marcus Agrippa. Though its authenticity remains debated, the map outlines a sprawling route system covering almost all of Europe, excluding the British Isles and Iberian Peninsula, along with regions of Asia, North Africa, India, and Persia. The theory goes that this map eventually came into the hands of Conrad Seltz, who passed it to his archaeologist friend Conrad Peutinger. Peutinger later gifted it to Emperor Maximilian the 15th century. Whether original or copied, the map captures the scale of Roman infrastructure and offers a glimpse at how far the empire's influence may have reached through its meticulously built roads. Number 3. Glass Field. In the Atacama Desert. More than a decade ago, scientists started noticing something weird in Chile's Atacama Desert, a 50-mile-long corridor scattered with natural glass. The pieces, some over 2 feet in length, were warped and twisted, often looking like they'd been flash melted and frozen mid-motion. For years, experts debated their origin. Some blamed volcanic activity, others suggested wildfires. But in 2021, a detailed study finally pointed to a comet. Researchers identified microscopic grains of minerals like cubonite and troilite inside the glass, compounds typically found in space rock. The theory now is that a comet exploded as it struck the desert, generating enough heat to melt the sandy surface instantly. That blast would have turned a vast stretch of desert floor into liquid glass, then cooled it into strange folded shapes. It's a rare and violent process, and one that leaves behind unmistakable fingerprints. Volcanic activity might explain a few patches, but not this scale, not this intensity. So, does it prove our knowledge of history was wrong? Number 2. Byzantine-era wine factory. In October 2021, archaeologists unearthed what may have been the largest winery of its time, located in the city of Yavne, Israel. The site dates back around 1,500 years to the Byzantine era and features 5 large wine presses, clay kilns, massive storage warehouses, and an enormous quantity of pottery shards. Experts estimate the facility could have produced nearly 2 million liters of wine every year. That's not household consumption, that's mass distribution. The wine made here was a light white variety that was especially popular throughout the Mediterranean. It likely made its way not just across Israel, but to Egypt, Turkey, Greece, and perhaps even southern Italy. Beyond trade, wine served a practical purpose in ancient life. It was often cleaner and safer to drink than water. In some cases, even children drank it. The Yavne complex didn't just process wine, it shaped regional commerce and health practices for an entire population. Its sheer size proves that wine in this era wasn't just for the elite, it was a necessity. Number 1. Crannogs. Building an island by hand isn't easy now, let alone 5,000 years ago. But that's exactly what ancient Scots did when they constructed the Crannogs, man-made islands found in lochs across the country. Until recently, most historians thought these structures dated back to the Iron Age, around 800 BCE. That changed in 2018, when radiocarbon testing on many crannogs in the Outer Hebrides revealed they were built as far back as 3,500 BCE. That places their creation 1,000 years before Stonehenge. The work involved was massive, layer upon layer of stones piled into a body of water until an island formed, then capped with soil to make it usable. Some of the crannogs have no connecting causeways, suggesting they were only accessible by boat. Their purpose is still debated. Some believe they were homes, others think they served religious or political functions. But regardless of intent, the scale of the effort proves one thing clearly. These Neolithic communities were smarter. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next one.